Former Derby County owner Andy Appleby has put out a help call for David Clowes. He's said that the phone is always on for David Clowes to call should he need help finding investors or Andy Appleby becoming an investor himself. Now that call has not come from David Clowes, but could Andy Appleby be someone in the move for potentially giving Derby County investment? That's something we don't know right now. Now obviously Andy Appleby recently did an interview with BBC Radio Derby about his time as chairman of Derby County and how he sort of was a key cog in getting Derby County away from the drama of 2008 and taking Derby County to a much better position when they were sold on in 2015. Now, Andy Appleby was part of that group which sold to Mel Morris, and obviously it wasn't something that they sort of forced onto Mel Morris. It seemed like a very good sort of situation at the moment with missing out on promotion just the season before Mel Morris took over. It was very, very interesting to hear Andy Appleby talk about it on BBC Radio Derby. Do you want to win yourself the brand new Derby County 2025-26 home shirt? Well, I'm here to give you an opportunity to do that. There will be a link down in the description where you can head on over to raffle.com to join a raffle where you can win the Derby County home shirt. Ticket prices start at just £1 with a range of different discounts available. You can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets, get 10 free, and 15 tickets to get 15 free. The intention with this is to give you guys the opportunity to win a Derby County shirt for less than the valued cost in the shop. So if you haven't done so already, head on down to the description, click on the link in the description which will take you over to raffle.com, create yourself an account, answer the question and join this raffle. The winner will be announced on August 1st at 6 p.m. as the transfer window begins to draw to a close. So if you haven't done so already, head on over there and get your tickets. Now obviously Andy Appleby has got a massive wide range of sporting experience. He is the founder and chairman of United Shore Professional Basketball League. He was a CEO of Appleby, and he is an LLC and owner of General Sports and Entertainment. And it's very interesting to sort of look at his sort of past career. I believe he was owner of, was it the Washington Wizards at one point back in 2003, 2004 maybe. And it's one of those for me where I believe that Andy Appleby has quite obviously a massive career in sports, and he's got a massive reputation in sports as well, which is massive sort of moving forward as sort of an owner, a chairman or an investor. It's knowing what you're doing, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that David Clowes should pick up the phone and call Appleby, because ultimately I don't know the reasons why Appleby isn't already involved. Because if we go back to administration, Andy Appleby was at the table with the administrators and trying to put together a deal, but ultimately wasn't sort of successful in that. He did try and get David Clowes involved in his own group, and David Clowes ended up picking up the club on his own. Now, there's obviously a reason why David Clowes did that, probably wanting complete control rather than sort of shared custody in a sense, and or sort of potentially buying into General Sports and sort of having all the other rigmarole to deal with, because at the moment obviously all David Clowes has to do is worry about Derby County. But Andy Appleby obviously had a lot to do with Derby County back in sort of those 2008 to 2015 sort of period, and it's been 10 years since they sold the club back to Mel Morris, which was obviously sort of really important for the club in a sense of trying to move forward. Because if you go back to those times under GSW, which they were called, I'm not saying it was terrible, because it wasn't, because they made a lot of good moves. They put together a really good squad under Nigel Clough, and then obviously they were the ones that brought in Steve McLaren, which ended up taking us to a playoff final, which we lost up against, who was it in that final? QPR in the last minute with Bobby Zamora's goal. And I am really disappointed, obviously, that we lost that final, then went on to lose to Villa a few years later down the line, missed out on promotion a few times after that as well. But it's one of those for me where Appleby clearly knew what he was doing, put together a really good squad, which is important, had a good manager. Like, Cloughie wasn't the best championship manager, but he put together a squad, kept us in the league, and it was never sort of in doubt. And that same squad that he had, you then got an ex-England manager in Steve McLaren to take over, and he obviously took us nearly to the promised land, nearly, so close, and nearly did it again on a couple of occasions. And obviously, the problem for Derby is we turned into nearly men under Mel Morris, and I'm not saying that it would have been any different had Appleby stayed in charge, because ultimately, I don't know if it would have been. I don't know the answer to that question. I think there's a lot of talking points that come with sort of the ownership under Andy Appleby and then the ownership under Mel Morris. Obviously, with Mel Morris, we had the FFP breaches, the points deductions, all things which we didn't have before then, but obviously FFP became a lot more prevalent once Man City sort of got their money and things like that, and it sort of really did sort of change the game really. And ultimately, I think that David Clowes maybe should pick up the phone to Andy Appleby. I'm obviously not going to tell him what to do with his club or anything like that. I know that if I was the owner of Derby County, I wouldn't want some random kid on the internet telling me what to do. But I do think that sometimes just stretch out the olive branch, see what he has to say, see what his sort of project or plan would be in sort of a potential ownership bid for Derby County and sort of how that would work. I do always think that it's always best to hear people out, and for me, if you're going to hear somebody out, someone who's got prior experience of being a chairman, especially at the club that they're potentially being able to get back into, is a really good thing for me. Like, you look at some of the players that we're looking at signing at the moment. You look at Dion Sanderson, you look at Cody Drammer, Andreas Weimann, you look at Danny Bath, all players who have worked under John Eustace before. Some players have even played at Derby County before in Andreas Weimann, and I think that is really important, is knowing the situation, knowing the club, knowing the area, knowing the training ground, knowing the staff, because I bet you there's still staff at Derby County that were there when Andy Appleby was first chairman. In my opinion, I 100% guarantee there is. Like, there's people there that have been there 20, 30 years, and that's only what 10 years ago since he left. So, like, don't get me wrong, it's not all going to be the same. There will have been changes. There will be changes in structure and things like that. But I think a lot of the people that are there probably may have been there at the same time. You look then at someone like Sam Rush, who I believe is a part of Andy Appleby's general sports and entertainment. I believe that Sam Rush obviously was a key part of Derby County, was put on an NDA by Mel Morris and ultimately was sacked and things like that. So it's one of those for me where there's a lot of people as part of GSW who are sort of already know Derby County, and it'll obviously be interesting to see if anything does come of this. Obviously, at the moment, it seems as if he's not had the conversation with David Clowes and they haven't spoken about any potential investment. And realistically, for me, if that deal's going to happen, one of them's got to pick up the phone, and whether it be Appleby to Clowes or Clowes to Appleby, that is something that has to be sorted between them. Now, obviously, I don't know what the situation is regarding sort of their relationship or why David Clowes chose to go his own way back in 2022, given the fact that wealth-wise, David Clowes was always quite open and honest that he never really sort of wants to put the money in that's going to be us a very, very competitive championship side, let's put it that way. So it will be interesting to see how it does develop over the course of the next few months. Obviously hoping that we have some investment news over the course of the next few weeks, really, as we get into sort of pre-season and the transfer window. You're sort of hoping that Derby County have that extra bit of money to spend, and obviously right now Derby County don't have that. But obviously let me know your thoughts down in the comments regarding Andy Appleby. I think it's a massive sort of conversation to be had in regards to him potentially returning to the club, obviously under David Clowes' now ownership, but we'll obviously have to wait and see what happens with that. So if you have not done so already, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and if you have not done so already, make sure you check out the gaming channel. Link will be in the description, and I'll catch you in my next video. Do you want to win yourself the brand new Derby County 2025-26 home shirt? Well, I'm here to give you an opportunity to do that. There will be a link down in the description where you can head on over to raffle.com to join a raffle where you can win the Derby County home shirt. Ticket prices start at just £1 with a range of different discounts available. You can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets, get 10 free, and 15 tickets to get 15 free. The intention with this is to give you guys the opportunity to win a Derby County shirt for less than the valued cost in the shop. So if you haven't done so already, head on down to the description, click on the link in the description, which will take you over to raffle.com, create yourself an account, answer the question, and join this raffle. The winner will be announced on August 1st at 6 p.m. as the transfer window begins to draw to a close. So if you haven't done so already, head on over there and get your tickets.